Who's ready for some fun? Official visit season is about to hit Chestnut Hill.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. Thank you for listening. This is AJ Black, editor and publisher of Eagle Insider, part of 247 Sports. We're here today to talk about official visits and a big-time player that's entering Boston College this fall. He's on campus, folks. We'll talk about that in segment 3. Now, if you have not caught up, this is a daily Boston College podcast. We do this show 5 days a week. The only Boston College podcast that does that. Thank you to all of you who are daily listeners, who make you the everydayers here at Locked On BC. And thank you to all of you who are checking us out for the first time. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Now, this weekend, Boston College has 12 official visitors, 13 official visitors, coming to Boston College to check out the campus. Sorry, my brain is wrong. It's 13 official visitors. Now, they're coming for their big wining and dining in Chestnut Hill. Bill O'Brien and his staff are going to try to put the closing push on many of these recruits to get them to commit. Why is this important? Because this is the time of the recruiting season that Boston College usually lands most of their commitments. These are when they get a vast chunk to say yes. And now, a couple of these may move off later, or they may decommit or whatever, but this is where the action happens. It's 4 weeks, starting May 31st and ending June 21st. There's 4 weekends there that BC is going to have up to 60 visitors on campus. This weekend is going to be massive for Boston College. There's going to be quite the group coming on campus. I think Boston College fans are going to be excited. Of the 13 that are coming on campus, it's interesting, the split for this. 4 are on the offense, and only 1 is a weapon. The rest are linemen. So what you have this weekend, there's only 3 off. Why did I say 4? There's only 3 offensive players this weekend. Maybe they did this on purpose. You never know. The staff sometimes they have this weird, maybe they want to get certain guys on with a quarterback or a group together that they think might gel. They have their systems. There's only 3 offensive players. One of them is tight end Bryce Lewis. Now, Bryce Lewis, we talked on yesterday's show at length, is the son of defensive coordinator Tim Lewis. He's from Georgia. He's rated an 87, a 3-star. I have my crystal ball already pointing to his direction at BC. He's a 6'6" tight end. He could play edge. So, I've heard the staff is going to take him as a tight end, but you never know. He could eventually change positions when he gets on campus, but I know they're looking at him at that position, and a 6'6" tight end sounds like a very attractive proposition for Boston College. You want a good sized tight end, a guy that fits like that mold of like Tommy Sweeney or Hunter Long, big, lengthy tight end that can, beat out linebackers and be too big for safeties. Bryce Lewis sounds like he has the skill set to do that kind of thing. He's, and he's got the pedigree to do it. He played in Georgia. Georgia kids playing at this level, they're ready to play at the college level as well. They're going to be good. He has quite the offer list. He was committed to Arizona. I feel very strongly that he's going to commit to BC. I probably will commit this weekend. This is one you're going to want to watch for, and this is a good one. This is a recruit that I believe would be ranked as high as anyone BC landed the entire last cycle. So that tells you where this group is getting at. And he's not even like the biggest name that they're getting at. So Bryce Lewis is one name to watch for. The other 2 offensive players are offensive linemen. The first is Brian Auguste. He comes from Monarch, Florida, rated an 84. He has 2 schools that he's looking at. He is a 6'4", 300-pound offensive lineman, rated an 84. He's looking at BC and Kentucky, and he has official visits to both. He's going to BC first and Kentucky after. Don't expect him to make a decision this weekend. I mean, things could happen. Anything could happen on an official visit weekend. But this kid has already said that he told me he's going to make his announcement in early July. I saw other articles where he said he's going to do it after he's done his official visits. Whatever the case, that's his plan. Plans change when they take official visits. Coaches can obviously push a little bit, try to get them to make a commitment. With Kentucky looming, and this kid being a Southern kid who plays in their backyard, I imagine he's going to want to take his Kentucky visit before he makes a decision. So he could be someone to watch for, but I would be very surprised if Auguste did that. And now, as I look at my list, again, my brain is going in a million directions. There is 4 offensive players. I was right the first time. This is what happens when I have a busy week. Sometimes I look at a list and I go, oh, yeah, offensive line, defensive line. Oh, yeah. And then I realize I completely screwed things up. The other name to watch for is someone with a I think it's Hawaiian name, I would imagine. Vaya Ikakaloa from West High School in Utah. Now, this is a kid that came on campus this spring. He came with a bunch of his teammates, all of them offensive linemen, all of them huge. Must have been quite a crew to come in and see, right? He's 6'4", 315 pounds. He's got a busy month ahead of him. He's checking out BC. He already checked out Cal. He's going to check out Iowa State. He's going to check out Oklahoma. He's going to check out Stanford. You look at that schedule. Is he going to commit to BC with those schools ahead of him? I doubt it. But the fact that he came here is impressive. It's even more impressive that Vaya Ekaloa is coming because the initial coach that he was recruited by was Chris Snee. And Chris Snee's not even on he's not even on the staff anymore. He's moved on to work with the New York Giants. So credit to Bill O'Brien, Will Long, and Matt Applebaum for keeping that going, because from what I heard when he first came in, I was like, wait a minute, why is there a kid from Utah coming to Boston College to check the school out on his own dime? Because it was an unofficial visit, right? And they were like, yeah, Chris Snee has done a great job with this recruitment. So with Chris Snee gone, he's apparently done enough to get him his attention that he's coming back to BC. I don't expect him to commit this weekend. That would be a surprise, especially with 3 more official visits coming up. I would put my odds on him committing pretty low, but we'll have to wait and see. Brian Auguste, I think, would be a better one to watch for. The other offensive lineman, the third offensive lineman and 4th offensive player coming this weekend is Nelson McGuire out of Texas. He plays at Midlothian, Texas. And he has basically 2 schools he's looking at, BC and Texas Tech. He's a 6'4", 280-pound interior offensive lineman. He was a late offer for BC. He does not have a rating. But when you look at him, you have to wonder, okay, can you beat out a local school? Because that's a big issue, right? Like, can a local school can they be beaten by a school like Boston College that's, a plane ride away? For some kids, that's no big deal. We've seen plenty of kids that come here from far away that are able to handle that kind of travel. For other kids, it's a big deal. Like some kids may want to just play closer to home. They want to have their friends and family there, be able to drive to those games. Texas especially, right? Like Texas has got their own high school football community, a group that is going to be willing and that's almost like at high school level, bigger than anything BC has. So it may be a culture shock, but this also could be one of those times where maybe, who knows, with one offer and a school that is in his backyard, he may have already checked out. And I don't know the specifics behind his other offers because he's I think he got offered at the end of April. But maybe he's already checked out Texas Tech. He already knows what it is. And if he doesn't like he's like, yeah, Texas Tech is cool, but whoa, BC is something special. I could go play for Bill O'Brien. I could play for a guy that coached Tom Brady in this offense. I'm going to go there. I like that. I think that is a situation that's more apt to have a commitment than maybe like even a Brian Auguste or definitely the kid from Utah, right? So this one's more interesting to me. Even though it's a Texas kid with a Texas Tech offer, I could see him potentially committing, given that maybe he's already checked out Texas Tech and knows what they have. I don't believe he's been to BC yet. From what I remember from the spring, I don't think he's been there. So this could be one of those moments where he gets up here and is like, whoa, Boston's awesome. I'm going to commit here. So Nelson McGuire, there's a name to watch for. Not going to put my crystal ball in. You guys know I'm pretty conservative with that at times, but I'm going to be careful about that one for this one. In a moment, we'll talk about the defense. Gametime makes NBA Finals tickets, getting those even faster and easier. And if you're a Celtics fan, you want to get to TD Garden to watch these games. And with prices on the Gametime app actually go down closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices viewed from your seats and their lowest prices guaranteed, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. You want to get there. You want to be able to see the frustration on the Dallas Maverick or Minnesota Timberwolves face when you're at the Garden. Use the ticket finder, the seat finder, to see where you're going to sit. Are you going to be in the nosebleeds or are you going to get closer? It's going to show you exactly where you're going to get. And with the all-in price, you know you're not going to get hidden fees. It's all there. It's all what you're getting. That's what I love about Gametime. So what you got to do, download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for your $20 off your first purchase. With terms applying. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. This is Locked On BC. I'm your host, AJ Black. We are talking and getting into official visit season. I know when you go and like if you went on to another Locked On show, I was just listening to Locked On Gators. They get so into what official visit season is. And my goal for you as BC fans is I want you to feel the same level of excitement that the Gators feel, that Locked On Syracuse feels, Locked On Utah feels, whatever it is, because this is important. And the excitement around Bill O'Brien needs to translate for recruitment season too. So get in here, get all the news, get everything you need, and you'll know why these recruits are important and what you're getting. That's what I'm going to give you here. Now, defensively, as I said, this is a bigger group. It's kicked off by Micah Amity from Zavarian Brothers in Massachusetts. He's already committed. We already know that's happening. That's nothing much that we need to talk about there because he's already in the mix. On yesterday's episode, I talked about Ramones Adams, who's committed to Texas Tech. He's another Texas kid committed to Texas Tech. But he's taken an official visit to BC, which means things aren't so copacetic probably with the Red Raiders. I would put him, he says cornerback, I would put him on potential flip watch. The fact that he has a verbal commitment, that he's taken a visit, means I'm sure Texas Tech is not happy about this. I'm sure they're like, what are you doing? What do you've already verbal to us. Why are you checking out Boston College of all places? He's only got one other visit right now. It's BC. So, there might be something to watch there. I'm not crystal balling it yet, but it certainly is something that's got my eyeballs on. Speaking of keeping my eyeballs on something, Marcellus Townsend. He's teammates with Bryce Lewis, who I just talked about. I have a crystal ball in. I'll tell you right now, go check out my 247 site. I put in a 247 crystal ball in for Marcellus Townsend last night. I think he might have a special weekend with his teammate, but he's a cornerback. He's got offers. Like, he's just been offered in the last couple of weeks by like Memphis, Western Kentucky. There's been a bunch of Army. There's a bunch of schools that have been offering him. This is his only official visit. I get a good feeling about him. So keep your eyes on Marcellus Townsend, kid out of Georgia. A name that I don't expect to commit right away is Joshua Gurrier. Joshua Gurrier is out of Ocoee, Florida. People, tell me how I spell it. If you can pronounce it in the comment section, I will try my best to learn it. But Ocoee, Florida. You guys are gonna rip on me, and that's okay. I can handle it. But he's got 4 official visits already. He just announced USF, not UCF, USF, and then the 2 Iowa schools. He's going to check out Iowa State and Iowa. I love this kid. In terms of really strong quarterbacks, this is one of the better ones in this class, and he's blowing up recently. He got an offer from Wisconsin. I like this kid's style. I think he's going to be a really good defensive back at the college level, and he's someone I would love to see at BC. But with that schedule ahead of him, I can't see him pushing off official visits to Iowa State and Iowa. Like, I feel like he's going to go through at least those 3. And I don't know. I especially if Wisconsin can figure out a way to get onto his schedule, I feel like this is going to be a tougher one for BC. So that's Joshua Gurrier. Another name that's going to be on their list and is on my higher on the list of potentials is Kadir Dembele out of Archbishop Stepniak in New York. He's not rated yet, but he's taking out visits to I think he's got which is BC and Wake Forest. He's got offers from Cincinnati and Minnesota and UConn. And I think this I think this is a kid that would not surprise me if he commits and knocks off and does not visit Wake Forest. His teammate Denzel Williams, another offensive lineman, is coming later. But I think he's got a really good relationship with BC. And it depends on as long as BC will take his commitment compared to some of the other edge rushers or interior defensive linemen that they're going after. But I feel like this is another one that I'm watching going, I think this guy could commit. Kadir Dembele. Now, I got to make sure he gets rated on 247. I'll talk to the scouting department. But he's someone to watch for, too. I think he's someone that I could put on commit watch as well. Another name that's going to be here, there's 4 more. Cameron Brown out of Norco, California. He's got a couple smaller. Then I was saying, how are they going to look at this defensive line? Cameron Brown, I've heard, is very, very high on BC, rated an 85 out of California. He's got some Western offense. I think it's Washington State and San Diego State or Nevada that he's looking at. 6'3", 245-pound edge rusher, big kid, offered late, love his play. Think he would be someone to watch for. And then there's 2 other defensive linemen, Aubrey Melvin and Quante Gillians. Aubrey Melvin, I think, could also be on commit watch. He doesn't have a huge offer list going into this, but he's been quiet. So he's hard to tell. Sometimes kids will just tell you everything. If as a writer and someone who covers this, I ask a kid hey, who you're visiting, he'll tell me everything. Aubrey Melvin will he has not put much out there. I'll ask him some stuff and he'll tell me if I ask him. But he was telling me he's going to visit Virginia Tech. I've not seen anything about an official visit on his social media about that. He's also checking out Kent State and UConn. So, I mean, does that make sense? Why would he check out Virginia Tech and then UConn and Kent State? Kind of odd, but maybe he is. I'm not sure. He's just a hard read. Quante Gillians is a recruit out of New York as well, who has absolutely blown up. I thought BC was going to get him early. He's a 6'5" edge rusher out of New York, Aquinas Institute in Rochester. But now he has an official visit list of BC, Michigan State, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh. I still, from what he said, and he's talked to 247 a lot about what his thoughts are and where he's what he says about BC strikes me as BC still a leader. But with Michigan State and all these other programs floating around, who knows? With NIL and other things that could pop into play, you never know how BC could get stumped on something or how they view things. But he's the one to watch for. And then Deontay Lindsay. I talked to Deontay, and he's got 3 visits: Utah, Texas Tech, and BC. He's from Oklahoma. Now, when I said that offensive lineman, like, why is BC recruiting Utah? I say the same thing about Oklahoma, because name me the last commitment from Oklahoma. Don't know. Couldn't tell you. So he's got a great relationship with Ray Brown, the defensive backs coach. I know Ray Brown does an excellent job in that area. So who knows? But there's 2 localish schools that are battling for him. He could obviously drop and pick for BC. BC does not, I don't think they have a cornerback in yet in this class. So he could be someone to watch for. He's just, again, another quieter kid that you just don't know a whole lot about. Now, the position that you guys are all going, hey, AJ, what about quarterbacks? I'm going to tell you again. The staff is like Fort Knox during this recruitment process about the quarterbacks. I don't know anything. And believe me, I talked to the staff. I talked to multiple staff members, and they have made it so that they don't want anything out there for quarterback positions. So that's a position we're going to have to wait and see what happens. There could be a surprise. You could be following me on Twitter at AJBlack247, and all of a sudden I'm going to start tweeting out stuff that you're surprised about because there's a quarterback that's committed that no one's talking about because no one knows anything other than Jay Beeman. And he's coming at the end of the month. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens here with this quarterback stuff because BC's taken 2. We don't know any of their targets because they're not having, the kids aren't announcing their visits. Their kids are not announcing their offers. It's all been quiet. That's what's been going on. And that wraps up our official visit talk. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I just talked for 22 minutes about official visit season. Feel pretty good about that. Now we're going to talk about something else in segment number 3. A player is coming back, one that you've all been asking about, and he's ready to play for BC. And I'll tell you who that is and why it's a big deal in just a moment. Locked on Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black. And if you're listening to this on Thursday, come over to Eagle Insider. 60% off right now. I have breaking news on there. I have analysis. I have predictions. Whatever you want, we got it here. You're going to get 60% off from now until next June. That's a whole year for basically the price of a cup of coffee. If you're not signed up, you're missing my work. You're missing Mitch's work. You need to come over right now. Get in there. Get that information. Sign up today. When you're done your year of your promo, you can keep going and get Paramount Plus as part of your deal. Come over. Become a 247 insider. I think you'll enjoy it. Now, on Eagle Insider, the board members have been joking with me after this news item came out. AJ, you must be thrilled. You don't have to hear about this again. And yes, I am thrilled to announce that Cameron Martinez is finally on campus. Hallelujah. You guys could stop asking me about him. Cameron Martinez, a safety from Ohio State, originally committed at Ohio State to Jeff Hafley back in the day. Because of the COVID stuff, he was still there and committed to Jeff Hafley again at BC to transfer. And then Jeff Hafley leaves again. So the big question had been, is he going to stay at Boston College or is he going to go reopen his commitment? I had been told all along through this whole 5-month process that Cameron Martinez had not backed off his commitment. He came on campus, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that solidified everything. From what I heard, the visit went great. He was going to stay committed to BC, and then he was going to come on. Well, on Monday, I was told he's on campus. He's registered. He's, part of the team now. So there you go. You got your safety. You got Cameron Martinez, a former 4-star recruit who played for the Buckeyes. He's not a ton, but he's played a bunch over the last 3 seasons. That adds much needed depth to a position that you have some interesting players, guys that could have a good upside to them, but guys that you haven't really gotten to see play yet. That guys like Jalen Cheek, Bug Jones, KP Price, you haven't seen them play. And then you get Cole Batson, who, he's had limitations at times, right? And he got hurt. So we don't know what, he hasn't played this year. What was he going to be able to do? Well, Cameron Martinez adds depth, whether he's a starter or whether he doesn't even win the starting position. Maybe KP Price beats him out. You have another guy, another body in your group. So when folks have been asking, hey, Jay, why hasn't BC done anything in the transfer portal? I almost think of this as a late transfer portal win because they could have lost him. Another team could have jumped in and grabbed Cameron Martinez. They didn't. BC kept him in here. I think that was a big move, and that keeps your defense with a little added depth because I think I keep hearing about this New York alumni dinner that they had that Bill O'Brien spoke at, and I keep hearing that he had said that the depth on the defense is worrisome. Like they're good, but there's not a lot of depth. Adding Cameron Martinez will add you depth. So hopefully he gets to play. Hopefully he gives you what you need because you're going to need some good safety play this year. You're playing some good offenses. You're going to need that play. All right, folks, we'll be back again on Friday where I'm going to be joined by Mitch Wolf of Eagle Insider. He's my staff writer. And I'm going to tell you, you do not want to miss this episode because Mitch is going to make the pitch. Mitch is going to make the pitch that Boston College is going to be a playoff team in 2025. And he's not joking. You're going to want to hear why he said this and what his rationale is. And Mitch is not a guy that screws around. He'll tell you exactly why. Join us on Friday for that episode of Locked On BC. And then on Monday, we're going to be getting into all the reactions of everything that happened this weekend because I'm telling you, I know of at least a couple commitments that are probably going to happen, more that could happen. There's got to be a ton to talk about next week. Now, I had been saying like June, we're going to go to 3 days a week, but with official visit season, June, I don't know, man. I might be doing 5 days a week until July. We'll have to wait and see what the news cycle looks like. Because if it's busy, I'm going to be here at Locked On BC doing this 5 days a week if I can, because you guys need the news. You need to know my analysis. You need to know everything here at Locked On BC. Follow me on Twitter. Get over to Eagle Insider. Become a VIP. Join our group over there. Hit that like and subscribe here on Locked On BC. And we'll see you again for tomorrow's episode of Locked On Boston College. Your team every day.